Breaking news, U.S. lawmakers have filed what's being called the SEC Stabilization Act with the intended purpose to fire SEC Chair Gary Gensler and restructure the SEC agency. Like this video, engage with this video, post this video all over social media. This bill will have a much better chance of passing if we get this information out there to as many people as possible. Gary Gensler has done much more harm to the crypto industry in America than good. And that's not just me saying that, that's our representatives.
The biggest crypto failure in history is probably FTX at $9 billion. Were you the chairman of the SEC when FTX collapsed?
Yes.
And how many times did you meet with FTX prior to their collapse?
I think my public record shows 2.
You met it with FTX at least twice. And arguably, the second biggest crypto failure in history was Terra Luna. Who was the chairman of the SEC when Terra Luna collapsed, sir?
We had brought...
You were, sir, reclaiming my time. You were. Does it concern you that your approach to the digital asset industry is actually driving this industry out of the United States?
Trying to drive it to compliance, and if they're not complying with the laws.
You say the crypto market is rife with non-compliance. However, existing SEC rules make no sense for blockchain-based companies, and following them would actually kill these businesses. Your regulatory style lacks flexibility and nuance, and as a result, you've been an incompetent cop on the beat, doing nothing to protect everyday Americans.
If you believe crypto belongs in America, if you believe that America deserves to be the tech and innovation capital of the world, if you believe fair guidelines should be in place for crypto in America, again, engage with this video, share with a friend. SEC Chair Gary Gensler is a known enemy of the crypto space.
Hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes.
We don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar. It's called the euro. They're all digital right now. We already have digital investments. It's all digital right now, the investing world.
See, Gary Gensler took the job of SEC chair back in 2021, and at this time, we all thought there was a chance that Gary Gensler would regulate the crypto markets fairly. On account of his rhetoric and teachings at MIT in 2018, it seemed pretty fair.
We don't actually know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, but it's a study question a few lectures from now to ask you to tell me who you think Satoshi Nakamoto is. So I won't ask that now. Bitcoin right now is about 550,000 blocks, and the blocks are added on average every 10 minutes. And we'll talk about why it's every 10 minutes, and not only why Satoshi Nakamoto made it every 10 minutes, but how they maintain that. Other blockchains, like Ethereum, it's about every 7 seconds. So don't get too caught up that it's all the same. And there's some technologists here, Silvio Micali, is working on Algorand, and that's even tighter, less than 7 seconds.
This clip, what Gary Gensler says right here, is the most revealing to me.
So we already know in the US and in many other jurisdictions that 3/4 of the market are not ICOs or not what would be called securities. Even in the US, Canada, and Taiwan, the 3 jurisdictions that follow something similar to the Howey test, 3/4 of the market is non-securities. It's just a commodity, a cash crypto. So you'll hear debates about initial coin offerings and what's a security and what's not a security. Relevant and important debate. But for 3/4 of the market, it's not particularly relevant as a legal matter.
What we failed to consider about Gary Gensler is Goldman Gary was a former Goldman Sachs partner and former CFO for Hilary Clinton's 2016 presidential run. Goldman Sachs and Hilary Clinton are known crypto haters.
And then one more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency. Because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger.
It seems that Gary Gensler sold out on whatever principles he had to do the bidding of those who guaranteed him the SEC job. Because Gary Gensler seems to take every opportunity he can to blame crypto for whatever problems come up. Do you remember when Signature, Silvergate, and SVB banks collapsed earlier this year? These were crypto-friendly banks, but The reason they collapsed had nothing to do with them doing business with crypto. Gary Gensler blamed crypto for the failure of these banks on a Tuesday House hearing, only to be corrected Wednesday with the truth of the events. This is despicable.
There were 3 banks that failed in those handful of days, those 4 or 5 days. And 2 of those banks, the first and the third that failed, Silvergate and Signature, were engaged in the crypto business. I mean, some would say they were, crypto banks. So it's interesting just how this was all had some crypto narrative as well.
It is a misnomer that the failure of Signature Bank was related to crypto. What we saw with Signature Bank is that it had a new-fashioned bank run, and the outflow of deposits were from a broad depositor base, including wholesale food vendors, fiduciaries, trust accounts, law firms. And in fact, the outflow of crypto deposits were in exact proportion to their representation in the depositor base overall. And in fact, some of those deposit outflows were actually pre-planned. So it's, of course, unfortunate that there was a run on the bank at Signature prompted by what we saw with SVB, but it is not the case that the failure of Signature was related to crypto.
Enough is enough. Personally, I just hope that enough people in America see this and understand this so that they can take action with their lawmakers, because U.S. lawmakers have now filed what's being called the SEC Stabilization Act to fire Gary Gensler. Understand what we're trying to push forward. 2 House Republicans have partnered on a bill to kick Gary Gensler to the curb and restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission. Representative Warren Davidson, Republican from Ohio, and House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, Republican from Minnesota, introduced the SEC Stabilization Act Monday. Quote from Davidson, U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. I'm introducing legislation to fix the ongoing abuse of power and ensure protection that is in the best interest of the market for years to come. The bill suggests that the SEC remove the chair position, which Gary Gensler currently holds, and instead appoint an executive director to oversee operations. Quote from House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, American investors and industry deserve clear and consistent oversight, not political gamesmanship. The SEC Stabilization Act will make common sense changes to ensure that the SEC's priorities are with the investors they are charged to protect and not the whims of the reckless chair. A number of influential Republican lawmakers of late have continued their criticism of Gensler's agenda, and particularly his approach to crypto. The majority is in agreement on this. Regulation by enforcement is not an appropriate way to govern a market adequately, protect customers, or promote innovation. New information is coming out on a daily basis. Subscribe to Altcoin Daily because we keep you updated on the entire cryptocurrency market on a daily basis. Turn on notifications, more to come, and use our code for a 50% discount for Blockdown Portugal Crypto Conference and Festival, July 10th through 12th in Portugal, coming up. Use our code down below for 50% off your tickets.